Good morning. Today we'll be looking at Psalm 121. Psalm 121. If you'd like to turn your Bibles to Psalm 121, that's where we'll be today. I'd like to start us off by reading that. Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of the heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your right shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over you all your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. A few years ago, I was hired onto the security detail for a major retail department store, and I was completely amazed at the amount of technology we had at our disposal. We had video cameras all over that place. We could see every square inch of that store, except for two places, except for inside the bathroom and inside the fitting room. But we could see everywhere else in that store, very, very clearly. In fact, so clearly, we had cameras on top of the register, and we could zoom in to see the check number and the check name in case repeat offenders would come in and try to use stolen checks, which they did from time to time. Another aspect of that technology that is very, very impressive was that the video cameras were on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Those cameras did not stop rolling. They were continuously recording. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, those cameras were on. And I remember one particular incident where we had an employee who was accused of theft. After it was brought to our attention, the security team, we immediately put this employee on video surveillance. We started video surveillance on this individual. And sure enough, after the first day, we caught this employee stealing jewelry. Well, in order for us to actually build a case against this individual, it was store policy that we record multiple incidents of the infraction. So that we did. For 5 consecutive days, we caught this individual stealing jewelry from the jewelry case. Now, on the 5th day, we caught that individual, called the authorities. The authorities came, met us at the front door, and took that individual to jail. Now, it's beyond me why anybody would want to steal. I've never actually had a problem with that. I've always lived by the motto, if it's not mine, I don't take it. However, people have problems, and people do stupid things. We all do stupid things. But the most perplexing thing about that situation was, for me, was that we told those individuals when they got hired in their orientation, we told those people, hey, don't steal. You'll get caught. You're being watched. That didn't deter this individual, though. As I told you just a moment ago, they stole and they got caught. But on the way out, when we asked the individual, why'd you do that? Why'd you steal? This is what they said. This is their response to the question. I just got caught up in the moment, and I forgot somebody was watching. I just got caught up in the moment, and I forgot somebody was watching. I don't know about you, but I'm at my worst when I get caught up in the moment of life, and I forget someone's watching me. The psalmist reminds us in 121 that we are continuously being watched. We are continuously being observed. We are continuously being put under surveillance by God. However, unlike the security detail that I worked on at that time in my life, God doesn't want to persecute you. He doesn't want to catch you after a hard day's life, at the end of the day, have the police waiting for you, and accuse you of stealing or accuse you of whatever it is you do and skirt you off to jail. We don't serve a God like that. Psalm 121 tells us that we serve a God who watches us in order to help us and protect us. We serve a God who watches us in order to help us and protect us. In verses 1 through 4, we see the psalmist talking about getting his help from the Lord and not slipping, if you will. So literally the word says slip. But God watches over us that we may not slip. He doesn't want us to slip and fall down. We've done that enough, I think, as people. As a human being, it's in our nature to fall down. It's in our nature to slip. But the psalmist tells us that God no longer wants us to slip. He wants us to stand. He wants us to be people of character. He wants us to be people of integrity. He wants us to be creative people who expand our horizons, who grow to heights only matched by God's brilliance and His character and His integrity and His creativity. He doesn't want us to slip. He wants us to stand. And He watches us. He watches our lives in order for us to stand up straight and be the type of people that are solid, that can be people who are stable, and be people who have that character and integrity that reflects the nature of God. The Hebrew word in here that's used quite a bit, the word for watch, or in some translations to guard or to keep, is the Hebrew word shamar. And it really does have this idea of God's intensive person who is interactive, an intentional personality that God represents here. He's intentional about His relationship with you and with me, and especially with His people. He intends on watching because He intends on helping, and He also intends on protecting us. The second half of this psalm is very, very clear about God protecting us from the sun and from the moon, from the elements of the world that will harm us. God protects us from those elements, though. I had a friend when I was growing up. His name was Matt. And Matt had a big family, Irish Catholic family, and I used to go over their house and hang out all the time when I was growing up. And I remember one summer day, hot summer day, Matt and his family were going to go to Wild River Country in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's a water theme park where you go swim and have a good time. And I was so jealous and so upset and so mad that Matt and his family were going to go have this great grand time at Wild River Country, and I'd have to sit at home or go out to the farm and shovel dirt. The next day, after Matt and his family went to Wild River Country, I went by his house. And I go in the kitchen. His mom says, "Hey, Chet, how are you today?" I said, "I'm fine. Where's Matt?" "He's upstairs in his bedroom." I said, "Well, okay, I'm going to go see him." Is that okay? She's like, "Yeah, go see him." So I go upstairs and I go in Matt's room, walk in his room, and Matt's laying on the bed and he can't move. And he's crying, a little tear coming down his eye. I said, "Matt, what's wrong? What's going on?" He said, "I can't move. I'm sunburned. I'm sunburned so bad I can't move." The elements of this world can burn you. The elements of this world can paralyze you. If we're not careful, the elements of this world can harm us. And not only harm us, but destroy us. However, God is very, very clear in His Word that He protects us from these elements. He protects us from the burning sensation of the world, the burning sensation that the elements present. In the nighttime, it's strange that we see the nighttime in here. The nighttime God will watch us through and keep us from harm. For those of us that have spent enough time in the world, you should know this expression very, very well. The nighttime is the right time. The nighttime is the right time for evil to abound. And that's what it does. In the night, you can become confused. In the night and in the dark, you can become disoriented. But God does not become confused. God does not become disoriented. He's always there. He's always watching, like the video cameras I talked about at the very front of the sermon. In Matthew 26, we find a frustrated Jesus going to God in prayer. And he tells Peter and the other two men that are there to watch and keep guard, because the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And Jesus is frustrated with these men when he comes back 3 different times and he sees that they've fallen asleep. However, when we see Jesus going to God, we see a different side of Jesus. Because when he goes to God, the Father, he knows that God's present. Unlike humans that become distracted and confused and tired and go to sleep, God doesn't. God is always present. And Jesus Christ knew that. Folks, I ask us to remember today to keep the mentality of Jesus. Know that participatory act of prayer and submission, through that participatory act, God the Father is helping us and protecting us while he watches us.